This is Arif Halaby on your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS. Hey, welcome to the show, the Total Financial Solutions Hour. I'm Arif Halaby. This hour of the program is brought to you by Total Financial Solutions. That's us. Jeff Gerard is off to my left. You're right if you're looking at us on the video. We're here every week at this time talking about your family's finances, hopefully helping you get out of debt, manage money, plan for the future, and really kind of build, if we will, the thinking that retirement isn't what it used to be. You know, think of it like this. If we were at that transition period of time where we went from wagon wheels and, wagons, horses, and now all of a sudden, think of it within, 10-year period of time, we have Dodge Chargers and Chevy Corvettes and Ford Mustangs. In other words, night and day, right? The horses look different. And all of a sudden, the guy who used to repair the wagon says, listen, you got a problem with your car? Let me help you. Now you might think, well, those are two different generations. Retirement is the same way. If you are listening to your parents or grandparents about retirement, chances are pretty good that in a 10-year span of time, it's completely different. Pensions aren't going to be the way they are expected. Personal responsibility is going to be on your head over requiring or expecting the government to be there or your company pension. So all of a sudden they say, oh, you know what? I was a firefighter. I worked for the city. I worked for the county. I worked, I've got a pension. That's nice. But for most of you, you're not going to have that kind of lifestyle. It doesn't exist anymore. So the responsibility and the thought process that your parents or grandparents that had a Social Security check coming in, that they bought a house for $36,000 and paid it off, right? That's not the same world. In fact, if you're buying a house for $700,000, $600,000, $800,000, don't expect to pay it off before retirement. People say, well, what do you mean? I go, that's going to be an expense. That's a lifelong expense that never ends. So don't forget that you have to have multiple sources of income in retirement, and you being responsible for your own portion of that is a very big deal.
Well, and think about that. You have to look at where you're throwing the dollars back, right? If you're throwing them back into a place where, let's call it your mortgage, right? People are accelerating mortgages. They think, well, gosh, Eric, that $800,000, I'd really like it to be paid off by the time I'm retired. And then let's say you do that, and you neglected all other things, right? Saving for retirement, emergency savings, paying down any other debts. You really wanted to crack that nut, and you paid down the $800,000, and you paid it off. And guess what? You've got a house that's paid off. That's fantastic. What are you going to do? Are you going to peel off drywall and take it to the store?
That's right. And you need a new roof?
Yeah.
How's that going to work?
You call it an asset, but now it's still costing you insurance premiums. It's still costing you, taxes to the county assessor. What else? Oh, you still have to put a shingle on the roof. You still have to repair XYZ. You still have to pay the maintenance to the landscaper. This is not an asset in the form that you think it should be.
Yeah, that's right. I'd prefer that you owe money on the house and have cash available to pay your expenses, to pay your bills, to cover emergencies, to fill the gap when times are tough. That's a pretty important part of your savings and retirement, is knowing that you have liquidity, you have access to money, you have cash available. That makes a huge difference when you're trying to build comfort and safety and confidence, right?
Truly, because who wants to go into retirement property poor, right?
Yeah, exactly. Look, real estate is similar to gold. When people ask, what do you think about gold, Arif? Well, I think it's good. I have a gold ring and maybe some gold in your safe. That's fine. But remember, gold is a store of wealth. Silver may be the currency. That might be the thing that you use to spend money every single day, right? If all heck breaks loose and the dollar is worthless. I've heard those stories, and they're not all crazy. Don't think that, every conspiracy theory is not some kernel of truth built into it. But if you're thinking of storing wealth in your real estate, your primary residence, in my opinion, guys, that's not a wise move, because you will always need a place to live. So your primary residence needs to have a job to do, which is providing a roof over your head. It isn't an asset. Robert Kiyosaki, in his book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, talks about how poor people think and how rich people think. Just so you know, I don't get a penny on the book, but if you want to change your life, you need to read that book. It changed my life. No joke. Within, 8, 9 months, my income tripled. That's the power that the right ideas at the right time with the right person. And so for me, it made a huge difference. So come along and figure this out.
Well, and back to your example of the gold bar, think of your house as the gold bar, right? If you have all of this wealth stored in one gold bar, think about if you need to buy a loaf of bread. They're not going to give you change at the store for your gold bar and say, well, this gold bar is worth $1,000 and here your loaf of bread is $4 and we're going to give you the difference. It doesn't work like that. So having the liquidity that is needed in retirement, that is a huge part of it. And Eric, that's a great point, because I think so many of us neglect to have that savings part, that savings mindset while we're taking in those retirement dollars.
And look, each of us walk through life with a process of understanding that we have bills, and our bills usually come monthly. Surprise.
Right.
And in the process of having a system, a routine, we also have to remember that money has a job to do. It doesn't matter where the account is, if it's in a savings account. Look, we talked about this the other day. If you walk in and you say to yourself, my retirement account is my daughter's college fund or my son's college fund, I'm going to tell you, you're using the wrong tool for the job. If you say, hey, listen, my daughter's college fund is for the new roof on the house, it's the wrong tool for the job. My savings account, that's designed that I'm earning 0.07% interest. That's designed for my retirement someday. Wrong tool for the job. So when you think of it, a dollar isn't just a dollar. It's a process of understanding, building wealth. It takes time. Listen, I will never make you wealthy. That's not our company's job. Jeff, that's not what we do. We keep you from going broke. Now, isn't that a difference? If any financial advisor out there tells you, hey, listen, by the way, I'm going to make you rich. Hey, we're going to make you wealthy. We're going to triple your income. Understand that probably that's not true. Well, how do I know? Because why didn't they do it for themselves?
Pick me.
Yeah.
Because he's still working.
Why didn't he do it for his friends
if
and
he
family?
figured it out, why didn't he?
We've got the trick. We've got it. We have the forms. We have the system. I love it. We have the diversification algorithm process in this computer model that is this pie chart. And then go, listen, buddy, you're still working. So if you're still working, why isn't okay, fine. You're working, I get it. But you better have made your mom and dad wealthy. Your sister, brother, they better be beyond wealthy. If not, the only job you have with my retirement account, Mr. and Mrs. Broker, is to have it as a place that charges fees. Now, maybe it'll go up, and I hope it will, but that's not the job. That's not your job. Otherwise, you would just be paid if it went up. You get it? If your job is to have the account go up, then that's why you get paid. You get paid for your job. But if your job is just to keep the money, to fill out forms, name, address, social security number, and then a computer does everything, then you're not getting paid to make me money. You're just getting paid to keep my money. That's a different person. Our job is to make you wealthy. No, our job is to keep you from being broke. Don't forget that. Because your wealth will come from your habits. It will come from your spending habits. It's going to come from your, believe it or not, the job you chose, the spouse you chose, the career path, your ability to grow your income over time. Those are all things that determine your wealth. It is not the financial advisor or broker. Okay, so please don't think that there's a purpose for something that doesn't exist, because your family's finances are built a lot more, I think, than just on selecting a 36-year-old broker who's, was living in his mom's garage and chasing girls around the junior high school playground when you were making this money. Why is he or she, here's a good story, ready for this? $480,000 client has that in his account. A lot of money, $480,000. He was pulling $500 a month to live on. So he said, Arif, how much do I have in this account? And we looked at it, $480. He says, well, my broker I've worked with for many years, he's a pretty good guy. In fact, his father was our family's broker. I thought, wow, that's pretty good. He said, so we have a long relationship. I said, well, that sounds like a deep relationship. So why are you here with me? Well, because you said something the other day that kind of caused me to think twice. I said, what's that? He said, my broker says that I pay $65 a year in fees. But because I have more than $100,000, they waive the fees. I go, wow, that's pretty darn good. Well, what happens? Well, we made a phone call. Dialed the number, pretty simple. Filled out a form. I mean, folks, it's not rocket science. And in doing so, we found out that it wasn't $65 a year in fees. It was $1,200 a month. Client is pulling $500 a month out to live. Broker's making over $1,000. Why is that okay? Now you might say, well, because, they take it. Well, your account, if we did the math and we added it all together, you have about the same amount as you started, maybe a little less. So why is it okay that the broker makes twice when they were just a kid when you were earning this money, and they feel like they're entitled to twice of what you are taking out? So be very careful, guys. Listen, the reason that rich people are rich isn't because they're stupid, isn't because they're dumb with their money. It's because they understand how money works, and when they don't, they hire the right people. And when something doesn't go right, they fire the wrong people. All right, so be careful with that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in a minute as we continue with the Total Financial Hour. I'm Arif Halaby. That's Jeff Gerard. And we'll be back.
Looking for a new fun activity for your son or daughter? If you are, then visit Ice Station Valencia and get your child started in ice skating. The Ice Station Skating Academy offers classes for all ages and skill levels. A skating academy enrollment is also a great gift for any child. A new semester starts every 2 months, so it's never too late to sign up. Ice Station is located across the street from Valencia High School. Call 775-8686 or check icestation.net for more ice skating fun.
What's the perfect way to end the weekend? Sunday brunch at Salt Creek Grill, of course. Wind down with delectable dishes off Salt Creek's award-winning menu and enjoy a glass of champagne, because after all, you deserve it. Make Sunday brunch at Salt Creek Grill a new tradition with your family and friends. Salt Creek Grill in Valencia on Town Center Drive in front of the movie theater. For reservations, 222-9999 or go online to saltcreekgrill.com.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
Kyle, guess what's coming up?
It's the KHTS Home and Garden Show at Emergency Expo, April 28th and 29th at Central Park. Free admission.
Over one weekend, over 20,000 homeowners, Santa Clarita homeowners, visit this every single year.
It's one of the biggest home shows in not just Southern California, but California.
My favorite is the marketplace.
Oh my gosh, my wife, she just annihilates the marketplace. It's local craft stuff. It's awesome.
A lot of activities for the kids. They've got the petting zoo, pony rides. But if you want to be a part of this, there is always room for your business.
That's true. And this is an opportunity that is like no other. You're going to get, like you just said, about 20,000 people over the weekend to come and check out your business. So there's still vendor opportunities available.
That's the only question I have. If a vendor is listening right now and they say to themselves, that's what I want to be a part of, now what?
You can call 298-1220, 298-1220, or go to scvhomeshow.com.
Once more for the people in the back.
scvhomeshow.com.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
This is your place for news, talk, and information, your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Hey, welcome back to the show. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Arif Halaby. That's Jeff Gerard. We're talking about your family's finances. For a lot of you, especially now when the economy is doing great. See, I think it happens, Jeff, all the time when the economy is doing great and when it's doing not so great, is that people will leave jobs. Sometimes it's on their own choosing. Sometimes it's because they were asked to leave.
Right.
But if you have a retirement account, and for a lot of for-profit companies, those are called 401ks. It's just where it's found in the IRS code, 401 subsection K in the IRS code. You can have a retirement account and go to work, etc. So don't think it's anything too fancy. That 401k plan, though, when you leave your job, you're allowed to do things with it that you may not know that you can do. One of those is to transfer it out.
That's right. And a lot of times what you look at is now this is the trigger, right? This is the opportunity. When you didn't have access to these funds, in most cases beforehand, while you were working there, you separating from service, they call it in the industry, or leaving your job means you can roll that money over into your own individual retirement account. Now, these were monies by and large you've put in pre-tax, meaning You made $1,000 on this paycheck. You put $200 off to the side. You paid tax on $800. That $200 you never squared away with Uncle Sam, so it's going to sit off to the side, tax deferred. And what do you do with that? Well, if you cash it out, I mean, there's going to be some tax consequences there. But most people, they roll that out into a place where they now control that, because when it was in your employer's 401k plan / your 401k plan, that was not decided by you what investments or choices you had to park that money. So basically they say, hey, we're going to hire a company and they're going to give us a range of choices, and then you, the employee, are going to check a box and say, this is where I want part of my money to go or all of it to go, and you basically had those limited choices. By rolling it out into that individual plan, you not only preserve the tax dollars, meaning the taxes on it, you don't have to settle that up today, but you also have a choice on where you can invest it.
And that gives you options. If you look at your new, your new plan, if you will, your new company plan, if there is one, and you choose to pick that up and roll it into your new company plan, you actually have options, meaning you might have the 10 or 12 choices, and that fits your needs perfectly. So that's a choice, right? You can roll that into your current company plan. Now, if the company doesn't have a plan, and you look at it and you say, I really want to have my own company plan, my own personal plan, and I don't like leaving it in the old place, roll it into that individual retirement account or an IRA. So why would you put it into the new company plan? Well, there's a couple of reasons, and it has to fit right. One of those, as I mentioned, you have to like the options. Whatever the options are inside of the new company plan, does it fit your needs? If the answer is yes, great. Well, now you have a good choice for it. The other reason is maybe someday you want to borrow against it. Because if it's in an IRA, you are not allowed to borrow. You just have to withdraw, and then you're subject to fees and penalties. If it is transferred into your company, your new company retirement account, you can borrow up to 50% of it, or $50,000. Now that's a lot of money. 50%. So let's say you have $20,000 in your old 401k. You roll it over. You can only borrow $10,000. You don't get to borrow all of it, but you do get to borrow something. Now you have to pay back a monthly payment over 5 years. If you don't, it becomes a taxable event. So you do have choices there.
Right, and you've mentioned this plenty of times there. If a 401k has a job, right, like you said earlier in the show, it's meant for retirement. But once in a great while, we have a need to borrow from this account, and you do so in a tax-free manner, but you do pay yourself back. So it's just like if you were to refinance a house, right? You get that money. You don't pay tax on that money. It just comes to you. If you borrowed $50,000, you get $50,000. You don't have to worry about that except the monthly payment. So the same thing happens with your 401k. If you tried to do that same thing with your IRA, you would have to be subject to federal, probably state taxes depending on where you live, and a penalty depending on your age. So if you're over a certain age, then that penalty is not really there. But you don't get to borrow it, so you do have to settle the taxes in the year you take it out. So there's some pros and cons to doing it either way, whether you take it individually into your own responsibility in your own hands, or you transfer it into, as Arif said, your new company's employer. Because, look, you switch jobs, right? That's what we're talking about. You do have the ability to go from one 401k to the next with your assets. So it's kind of a nice feature.
And you're thinking about this, if you are still working past age 70 and a half, and you have that old 401k that's an IRA off to the side, you may be forced to start taking money out of that account, called a required minimum distribution. But if you picked up that account and dropped it into your company 401k a few years earlier, knowing you may not need the money or that you're going to continue to work past age 70 and a half, you may not be subject to the required minimum distributions of those dollars. Because the RMD is a requirement as long as you are no longer working for that company or that the money is outside of your current company retirement plan. So consider that, because that is a way around being forced to take money out of your required minimum distribution by setting dollars aside in a place where you are you're not required, at least. You can pull money out, but you're not required to take it out.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And I think it's a perfect strategy for someone who maybe had a lifestyle change and their finance had a change because they said, look, I retired maybe at 62, right, or 65, and they're still healthy. Maybe they're bored and they want to go back to work. There's plenty of people doing that. They're untiring, right, as you, I think, coined the phrase, sir.
Yep.
And they have this money. It's in that IRA. They will have to settle up with Uncle Sam. He says you have to take that money out at age 70 and a half, whether you like it or not, whether you need it or not, and moving it into, because let's say this is a pre-tax account, you put it back into your pre-tax 401k. Those aren't just designed to take money out. They're also designed to roll dollars in, which is a cool thing. So you just have to check with human resources, get that done, and it's a pretty straightforward process.
And your family can still inherit these funds either way, whether it's in a 401k, whether it's in your IRA. The process of if you pass away early or what happens goes directly into the beneficiary world, meaning if it's a 401k at your current job or an old 401k or an IRA, none of that matters. You are still eligible, and you better be putting a beneficiary down. If you don't, then it goes to the estate, and somebody else is going to be checking it out.
That's right.
So a beneficiary is required on all of these plans, and they can bypass or circumvent probate. All right, so check with your tax attorney or your CPA on the tax side of questions. But when it comes to the trust, revocable living trust, you need a real attorney. You need a trust attorney. There's some really good people out there that do these things, and they do them well. My opinion is to avoid the attorneys that today also do car accidents, and we also do workers' comp, and oh, by the way, let me do a trust for you, and did you want to get divorced? We can take care of it all. Mm-hmm. So those are, I'd prefer not to have a generalist when you can't undo dying, right? Because once you die,
that's right,
it's over. If they made a mistake on the trust or they didn't do it correctly, then you're in trouble. We actually had a client, we often refer to Dan Mortensen here in Old Town Newhall, and we had a client who had come to him and said, hey, here's my trust. Can you take a look at it? It's an older trust. I'm not sure. I had it done by one of those trust mills, right, where they just $385 or something, and they do a trust for you. Because guys like us, we're a certified estate planner. Guys like us, in many cases, can do living trusts for you. But I would say don't. Don't give us that business. We'll handle your retirement accounts. We'll handle your safe money retirement accounts. But don't trust a financial advisor to do trust work. Don't trust your trust attorney to do your CPA work, right? Don't trust a CPA to be your financial advisor. They're not bad people, but they just don't understand the world. And if they do, they're probably just good at it. And you don't want somebody that's good. You want somebody that's great. Like, focus on one thing. These are different worlds. And so we sat down with Dan, and we go over this trust. And Dan says, take a look here on page, I can't remember, let's just say page 3. It says you should always do this. And on page 19, it said you should never do this. So which one is correct? And all it takes is when you die, someone challenges it, and the judge might throw the whole thing out. And this was a trust mill where they filled in the blanks, and they just forgot to check a box, and out it went. Because everybody got the same one. It was a template. So don't get yourself stuck in a scenario where you're trying to always do something or never do something. Give yourself a conversation with your attorney. Yes, it's going to cost more money, maybe $1,500, maybe $2,500. But give yourself time with the attorney so that you can have a professional do it. You're only going to do this once, maybe twice in your lifetime, right, if they update it or make changes.
Well, that $2,000 in your example could save 10 times that in the estate. You know, if you think about probate, it's not something you can just bebop along and skim through on your own, right? You have to, there's a process, and you probably have to get a probate attorney, and you have to go to courts, or someone's going to have to go for you. Every time someone makes an appearance or someone's time is used, there's a fee charge there. So that can eat up an estate very quickly, and we've seen it. And it almost becomes a full-time job if you're trying to cut that corner.
And your family is going to be counting on you, your spouse, your kids, to make the right decisions when you're in your full mind capacity, when you're able to think, and when you have the chance to bring in the right people. All right, so these are important conversations that I want you to have with the right person in your life. Here's another thing that's quite interesting. When you take a look at how the far left is pushing for consistent voting rights for teenagers, right, 16-year-olds. Did you know that? They're saying we want 16-year-olds to vote.
Really?
The same people, the same people that you can indoctrinate in your public and private school systems, right? Because it's no longer a place where they think independently. It's now, if you don't think like me, we berate you. Look at all the videos. You can. I haven't seen any videos where somebody on the right is yelling at somebody for believing that Trump is a bad guy or a good guy. You see kids being kicked out of school, being berated because they wore a "Make America Great" hat. I mean, is that not insane? You'll let them wear the F word on their T-shirt. You'll let them wear pictures of drugs, marijuana on their T-shirt, but somebody's supporting a political candidate, and they won't. So right now at history, in this moment in time, it's the far left. In the 50s, it was McCarthy. Before that, it was whatever governor that was, Wallace, standing in front of the door not letting young black children get educated. Those are the same people on the left. They're all in the same bucket. So today, why do I bring that up? It's like, well, that's political, that's interesting. Very simple. Because they're the same people that are pushing to have unions do a greater amount of pull from companies and entities, and more importantly, the public sector unions, you guys. That means your city, state, county workers and federal workers. So when you say we want a pension that is supposed to replace 70, 80, 90% of your pay, you understand that's not how pensions were meant to be. Originally, pensions were only meant to take in about 30 or 40%. Social Security, the other 30 or 40%. And your personal savings filled the gap. Well, after a while, they said, listen, you don't have to put into Social Security. We will be your replacement, says the city, county, state government. So they no longer put into Social Security. So the pension requirement has gone up. That's fine. But they stopped changing the other side. So today you have $1 trillion in deficit when you add all of the debt for the state of California. The city, county, state, special districts, community colleges, all of the debt, the pension liabilities. Folks, this is $1 trillion. Reuters reports that this is money that probably will never be paid back. There just isn't the money. And instead of thinking about this and saying, well, we better start putting the brakes on, let's modify some things, let's make it so, hey, you can't retire at 60, you got to wait till 63, or you can't take out 80% of your pay, you only get 75, right? Starting, hey, listen, I know you were putting in, 10% of your pay, school teachers, now you're going to have to put in 14. None of those are popular. Everybody's like, you anti-teacher, anti-fireman, anti-old people. Everybody, oh, yeah, sorry.
Right.
You offend me. You realize being offended is your problem, not the person saying it. Because if I can say 6 things, or the same thing, I should say, and 6 people are listening and 2 are offended, and I am the constant in that story. The offended or not offended is the variable. That means that's their problem, not mine. You don't like it? Turn the channel. You don't like it? Don't come and be my client. Listen, there's a lot of really good financial people out there. But somebody has to tell you the truth. And if you're in your 50s or 60s or younger, and you expect your pension from the city, county, state to be exactly what they say it's going to be for the rest of your life before you pass, I'm telling you, I don't think it's going to happen. In fact, I personally believe there's a 100% chance your pension will be modified. One way or the other. They'll either reduce it, they'll stop giving you pay raises, they'll bank it, right? Here's what I think, knowing the way some cities work. We're going to take out, 5% of your pay, and we're going to park it off to the side. And now for the next, listen, it's going to earn interest. So don't worry about it. We're going to earn interest, and we're going to pay you back 5 years from now. So consider it like a savings account. You're like, but I need that money to live on. No, don't worry. And the small clause on the bottom says we can renew it for another 5 years if we choose to. So instead of the city taking care of itself or the county taking care of itself, it's going to borrow money, get an advance on a credit card, it's going to go to check cashing, and it's going to go into debt even greater. So you have to be thinking plan B here, because somebody's got to take care of you and your family. And if your only answer is to count on a pension, or if that's a big 60, 80, 70, 90, 100% somewhere in there, you better have a plan B, because I think there's going to be changes. In fact, it's all about math. We can borrow again, right? If you earn $100,000 a year and you spend $120,000, and just because this year you borrowed $20,000, it doesn't mean it's a good financial plan. It means next year you probably have to spend less, but you decide to spend more. I'm going to spend $130,000. Well, just because somebody will give you an increase in your credit card, it doesn't mean it's a good financial plan. And that's what's happened. Another bond measure, right? They tried out puppies and nurses and and little horses that are limping, and you have, oh, look, that's an old person who's going to go off a cliff in a wheelchair. Better rescue her. And they put all these little crazy, wacky things out. And instead of talking about the math, a group of attorneys get together, and they build these commercials, and they build these budget measures, and they come up with a crazy idea like, oh, Prop 65. Did you know that if you go to a gas station, Jeff, there's a sign that says prolonged exposure to this stuff could cause cancer? Did you? Was that a surprise?
Yeah, I don't
think
building. I've gone somewhere that doesn't have that sign.
Right. Which now means it's worthless.
Yeah.
Because all they have to do is put a sign up that says, oh, by the way, hey, we told you. You signed here, says the lawyer.
It's transfer of liability. That's all they want.
So your pensions are no different, guys. I want you to be careful with those. You're going to see some problems coming down if you're not careful.
Well, and take a look at this, too, because you've railed on this for a long time, Arif. You can say, look, I've got a contract, I've got a pension. You guys made a promise 10, 20, 30 years ago, and you can stamp your feet, and you can, gather around in a big, large group and say you're going to storm the gates. And at the end of the day, they're going to say, yep, you're right. Sorry, but we still don't have the money. And then what? You've built your life around 100% of what you think is coming in. But what's a safe amount? If someone was going to say, look, I have faith in the system, but I really want to be more conservative and more prudent. Yes, I'm going to have a little savings on the side, but what's a good number somebody could count on that may not let them down in the future?
Well, I think you always have to look at a 4% withdrawal rate as the norm. Now, maybe that's a little high, maybe that's a little low. I don't know. But I do think that if you count on a 4% number, you've got a pretty good shot, because expect to live somewhere around 25 years in retirement. That's what the studies are showing.
That's a long time.
If you get till age 70, the chances of you getting to age 95 are pretty high.
Wow.
And it's changed dramatically. If a husband and wife are both married, and both reach age 65, there's a 90% chance that one of them will get to age 90.
Wow.
So one of you will be alive. Surprise, folks. Go into any of the senior housing and you'll see that it's mostly women.
Right.
What is up with that? We
I
need to
don't
buy
know.
fast cars or something, or boats, and tell them, hey, it's not me. It's just I'm going to die sooner than you. So
That's right. And then what about if someone's expecting a pension and they think it's not going to change, but it does? What number should they? I mean, do you think it's like 50%,
I see what you're saying.
60%?
Yeah, I'd say 75. I see what you're saying.
75%?
So
Okay.
if you are expecting a pension of $4,000 a month, then do your budget on $3,000. That's 75% of it.
Okay.
If it works, if you do end up getting $4,000 or $4,100 or $3,600, great. But if you build your budget off of 75% of that, because I think between the combination of new people putting money in, inflating the currency, stopping, if not any pay raise, and or reversing, we're going to take back last year's pay raise, right? I think that's the only way to make it work. And I think the only way to make it work is if everybody has pain. It doesn't matter what political party you are in. Everybody has to be in pain so that we never do this again. Because when only one part suffers and the other part is okay with it,
Right.
then when that other part that's okay with it gets into power, they're going to be like, oh, let's go back to that way because it didn't hurt me.
And why does it always seem like the people that are unaffected are the ones voting on the ones that are affected?
Yeah, we always say,
yeah, we want to change that over there, but that's good for them. But
you know,
not
it
for us.
used to be that unless you were a property owner, you weren't allowed to vote. People said, oh, bigots, racist, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, it made it difficult for women to own property, so hence women didn't vote. This is, in the Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, I don't think that's a good idea, by the way, but that's what it was. But you have to understand, back then, the taxes were property taxes. So, of course, the people voting to tax themselves had to weigh whether or not it was a good idea. It's like in Santa Monica, right? You're a resident of Santa Monica. You've lived there for 29 years.
Yeah.
You pay $690 a month, 2 blocks from the ocean for a 2-bedroom apartment.
Right.
Of course, when it comes time to vote, should we keep rent control? You're like, yeah, I think so. I think that's a good idea. Let's keep rent control. I don't mind paying $6. The owner of the building is saying, listen, my property taxes have gone up. When I call a plumber, he's charging $200 instead of $20. So rent control is a bad thing if I'm a property owner.
Yeah.
And many of these property owners in these rent-controlled areas don't even live in the city in which they have the property.
And even if they do, their one vote, their tenants are 30.
That's right. you
There
have a 30-unit apartment building or a 10-unit apartment building with
Right.
2 or 3 voters in each unit. You understand how wacky that is?
Yeah.
Because all of you would vote to take money from the other guy? Well, Arif, I have integrity. Okay, so minus you. Everybody else would vote to take money from the other guy to give to you. Does that sound out of place? I mean, work with me here. I think unless you understand when it comes to your future, I think everybody has to pay. And, you know, I'm raising my hand in that. I'm not interested in being the only guy that's paying. But I think when you go to the teachers and you go to the contractors and the government workers and you go to the police officers and firefighters and the county this and the city that, there has to be like a moment in time when people can speak the truth without being called a racist, bigot, homophobe, exophobe, AB-phobe, whatever. When is somebody going to speak the truth? I love my educator clients. They work hard. They take work home. Raise your hand if you don't take work home. Everybody does. When you work 8.5 months out of the year, I don't know. Should you be paid the same as somebody who works 12 months out of the year with a 2-week vacation? Maybe. Maybe there's such a difference there. Should you be entitled to lifelong medical insurance paid for? I pay $3,000 a month for my medical insurance. So should you get your medical insurance for free? I don't know. But there has to be a chance when people can talk about this without being called a bad name or having, you know, crazy lefties protest outside your house. Right? When was the last time you saw somebody on the right? We want less taxes, so we're going to protest for less taxes. Let's go stand outside of the Democrats' house.
No, you don't see that.
Because they have jobs. They're working. They're busy. Right? So you've got to keep in mind that one of these days, eventually, we're going to have an honest conversation without calling people names, because you lose credibility when you start calling names. And numbers, your retirement, your financial life, is black and white generally, folks. It's 1 + 1 is 2. Mm-hmm. Surprise. It's not. It doesn't matter if you feel like it's 6 or want it to be 7. It's still 1 + 1 is 2. And we get away from the craziness, and you can talk, how are we going to solve this crisis? Because somebody's going to have to solve it. And I'd prefer you solve it, because you're the one receiving the benefit or will be receiving the benefit. Do you want to be 8 years into retirement and have your children or grandchildren be the ones solving this problem? Because they will be, because somebody has to. So we've got to come up with the solution sooner rather than later. We're going to come back in just a minute with your family's finance. Hey, retirement confidence is up. Did you know that? There's a catch, though. Of course, like everything. I'm Arif Halaby. That's Jeff Gerard. Your family's finances on the Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. You're listening to your hometown station, KHTS.
Comfort Keepers provides your loved one with loving in-home care.
Miles McNamara, certified senior advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers in-home care.
Our caregivers can help you in your own home, enhancing independence, creating safety and comfort. Our Comfort Keepers provide companionship, meal preparation, medication reminders, assistance with personal care, and even transportation to doctor's appointments. If someone you love can use a helping hand at home, visit comfortkeepers.com.
Or call 287-4200.
Hi, this is Wendy Hassenflug, yoga and wellness entrepreneur. I'm excited to share one of the best kept secrets in Santa Clarita. Top Out Climbing Gym is one of my favorite places. Rock climbing is exceptional for building upper and lower body strength, and it improves your flexibility. Almost anyone can rock climb, and you don't have to be super fit to climb. You'll build strength and stamina while having fun at the same time. Get over to Top Out Climbing Gym in Center Point and challenge yourself to new heights.
Your building sign is essential in getting customers to your location. Feathers can help get your business noticed. They walk you through each phase of your building sign project, providing special attention to detail and quality. Feathers will give you a sign you can be proud of. Your building sign will draw customers in instead of having them drive by. Feathers on Soledad in Canyon Country, across from the Edwards Theater. Or go to feathersphoto.com. That's feathersphoto.com.
Kyle, guess what's coming up?
It's the KHTS Home and Garden Show and Emergency Expo, April 28th and 29th at Central Park. free admission.
Over one weekend, over 20,000 homeowners, Santa Clarita homeowners, visit this every single year.
It's one of the biggest home shows in not just Southern California, but California.
My favorite is the marketplace.
Oh my gosh, my wife, she just annihilates the marketplace. It's local craft stuff. It's awesome.
A lot of activities for the kids. They've got the petting zoo, pony rides. But if you want to be a part of this, there is always room for your business.
That's true. And this is an opportunity that is like no other. You're going to get, like you just said, about 20,000 people over the weekend to come and check out your business. So there's still vendor opportunities available.
That's the only question I have. If a vendor is listening right now and they say to themselves, that's what I want to be a part of, now what?
You can call 298-1220, 298-1220, or go to scvhomeshow.com.
Once more for the people in the back.
scvhomeshow.com.
First impressions say it all. Choosing the right makeup is critical to that first impression and keeping your skin looking young and healthy. That's why Santa Clarita's Jen Gerard created Gerard Cosmetics. Inspired by women of all ages who gravitate toward classic and timeless beauty with a modern twist, Gerard Cosmetics. Superb quality and pigmentation, along with lip glosses and lipsticks in colors for everyone. The internationally acclaimed Gerard Cosmetics. Discover your new look at gerardcosmetics.com.
Your hometown station.
It can happen at any time. Breaking news in the Santa Clarita Valley. KHTS has you covered. Brush fires, emergency freeway closures, police activity. If it's happening in the SCV, we'll let you know about it with our breaking news coverage. Keep a channel preset to your hometown station, KHTS.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
Thanks for listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. All right, welcome back to the show, the Total Financial Hour, on your place for news, talk, and information. This is your hometown station, KHTS. Your family's finances are listen, they're focused a lot, believe it or not, on just the general economy. It depends on where you live and what the economic cycles are going through. Sometimes things are booming in some parts of the country. I don't know if you've traveled to other places. I have. And I have seen that in certain places, you can't find a job unless minimum wage jobs are $15, $18, $20 an hour. Places in Texas, if you want to work at a fast food restaurant, I know multiple fast food restaurants, McDonald's and Subways, in the Dallas area, they have to pay $18, $20 an hour with benefits for part-time just to get people to work because there's so much jobs, so many companies are leaving. Now, transfer your conversation here to California, and you have robots and kiosks and computers doing the job at fast food restaurants, right? A lot of folks fight for 15, fair 15, whatever they were talking about, $15 an hour. Business owners go, listen, man, it's just a math game for me. So no problem. We'll just fire 4 of you. We'll leave the one with the blue shirt. They get to stay, or the white shirt, I guess. We'll get 1 blue shirt, 1 white shirt, and a kiosk. That means the manager's job is to clean up, to do everything. The manager is now the worker. Instead of managing people and supervising schedules, you have 1 or 2 workers for every manager and 6 kiosks. And now I think it's a Japanese company that has created a way to actually have the computer pull up the order, flips the hamburger, sits there for whatever it is, 2.5 minutes, flips it back over, and comes down a conveyor belt, goes on a bun, and poof, there's your meal. 0 people involved. You want to be unrealistic and say that somebody who used to be worth $9 an hour is now worth $15 with nothing changing. In other words, they didn't get better, they're not smarter, they didn't go back to school, they're not more efficient. The hamburger costs the same. It's just a math problem. When you go off of the feeling and you say, well, you can't raise a family of 4 on who said you were supposed to, right?
Right.
My Kia can't go 75 miles an hour in a quarter mile. Well, it's not supposed to, right? I don't get to go flying. My Corvette can't fly off a building. It's not supposed to.
And your Corvette also won't get 40 miles of the gallon.
That's right. Right? My Prius won't go up a hill. It's not supposed to. Oh, wait.
It's a trade-off, right?
Just kidding. That one Prius commercial, you see that one? It's so funny. The guy's like, oh, this motorhome. And there's an older couple driving. I think they're pulling a boat or something, and they're going up a hill. It was an advertisement for a particular car. I don't even know which one. But and they sit there and they look. Oh, this older couple driving this old, motorhome up a hill. And they go to pass them, and they turn around, and they are held up by a Prius in front of them. So my wife and I are like, that's right. We see that all the time. I don't know if it's the driver or the car, but sometimes it's both. Just remember, everything has a job to do. Don't expect a job that pays, because it's the job that pays, right? Not the person. Yeah. You can be a single kid who's a multimillionaire. You get paid the same thing to flip hamburgers. It doesn't change. You can be my daughter. I own the business. It's my company, my hamburger stand. The job is still worth the same amount of money. You can be there for 17 years. The job is still worth the same amount of money. Do you get it? Time there should not increase your pay, but efficiency, productivity, product design, pay increases of the product. But you try to tell that to people that have never written a check, right? Never signed the front of a check in their life, and they know they can rile up the masses and get them to get all excited about things. Mm-hmm. So of course they're gonna, right? You're a little minion. You're following the trail.
Well, it's kind of a sobering experience, having been a business owner myself. That first month we actually did great. Everything looked so fantastic, and then everybody else had their hand out for their paychecks. I went, oh, hang on, okay, here you go. And then wait, there's another one of you. Okay, here you go. Wait, how many employees do I have? And by the time you get to the end of it, it's not that much money. And I did this all month for that, and everybody else got more than I did in this month.
That's right. An electric bill? What's that all about? All right, here's one of the stories Forbes has put out today in the last couple of days. Retirement confidence is up, but here's the catch, guys. Pretty important you understand this, that they are going through this process of saying, hey, people are more confident, life is good. There's still about $160,000 in your retirement account, your pension, not your pension, your 401k plan. That means you're between the ages of 50 and 60 years old, and you have $160,000 to your name. Now, you might think that's pretty good. It's certainly a lot of money, but not if you're expecting to live on it in retirement. If it's just a savings account, it's good money if it's savings. But if its job is to create an income stream for you, right? Remember, to give you 30 or 40% of what you're needed, your paycheck in retirement, then $160,000 is not that much to live on.
Right, and you have to really think about this. Let's say you want to live on $40,000, right? And what was the example? $160,000 in the retirement account. Let's say you need $40,000 a year, and this 401k or this savings account is all you have. Take $40,000 away. Take $40,000 away the next year. Do that again. How many years did that? Divide 40 into 160. How long are you going to live in retirement on those dollars? And I think that's something that people forget to actually calculate because, again, they want 1 + 1 to be, 7 or 8 or 9.
Less than a third of the people that are older than age 55, right? That's knocking on the door of retirement. Mm-hmm. 55 or older, less than a third have $350,000, which means that gives them about $1,500 a month in income. So that's fine if you have your bills are much lower. Great.
Sure.
But don't think that the rest of those folks can just retire. Jeff, we had a gentleman who was a principal of a school.
Yep.
Remember? And he came to us and he said,
exactly what you're talking about.
Yep, Arif, I make, I'm going to be close on the numbers here. I want to say he made $80,000 a year. So he goes, I made $80,000 a year as a principal. Life is good.
Yeah.
I'm going to retire this June.